The Dharma, really is, all the Dharma is about is resolving difficulties that we experience as human beings. It's that simple. We have much written about it to elaborate on and to describe why our understanding of our experience as human beings is like this. And we have tomes and tomes written about this. When Shakyamuni Buddha, after his experience of enlightenment, the first thing that he talked about was the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, the Four Noble Truths and the Middle Way. And these two things were central to our perspective, our view, our Buddhist perspective of our experience as human beings. So Four Noble Truths, Middle Path. Middle path is don't avoid extremes. He had already lived a life as a prince and as an ascetic, and he found or he discovered that these two extremes were not where things were settled. Even as a prince where everything was taken care of, there were still difficulties that he experienced. Although his father did his best to keep those difficulties from his sight, from his experience, he nevertheless, he saw these things going on around him. There's a story of Siddhartha when he was quite young, sitting alongside a field, watching a farmer plow a field. And I guess this was a kind of an exercise that his father had provided for him to learn about how the country was sustained, the kinds of things that were taking place. And his father was training him to take over, Suddhodana was training him to take over his role as king of Kapilavastu. And so he trained his son, and he was training his son to understand what was necessary to run this country. And I was watching the farmer plow the field, and as the farmer was plowing this field, Siddhartha, sitting alongside this field, was observing that as the plow broke up the earth, that the bugs and little animals were being brought up from beneath the soil. And behind the farmer, these birds were walking along, eating the bugs that were coming up from the soil. And as he watched this, a frog's home, I guess, was disturbed, and the frog came out from the grass, and a snake ate the frog. And then as the snake was eating this frog, a hawk or a bird of prey dropped out of the sky and picked up the snake. And he saw all of this take place, and I'm sure it's been elaborated on over the centuries, but the basic idea is that there is this kind of a constant struggle going on to sustain ourselves, to survive. And no matter what we do, we are engaged in this kind of activity. Even as a prince who was shown very little of this, the butchering of animals, of the harvesting of vegetables, that although he was normally shielded from this, he began to understand that the food that he ate came from somewhere, that what he was enjoying as a prince was affecting the lives of those around him. And so even as a young person, he understood that this life of luxury was not free from difficulties. That as a prince, because your sustaining your life affected others, that although you were enjoying a life of a prince, that life was affecting others and was causing difficulties for others. So although not directly a part of his life, understanding that his actions were affecting others, realized that difficulties were in the wake of his life as a prince. Then as an ascetic, obviously, the hardships, the extreme hardships that Siddhartha underwent, suffering himself. It was said that at the end of this period of 6 years after he left his home, following various teachings, various teachers, practicing various ways of eliminating the attachment to self, these hardships didn't lead to a better understanding of the causes of difficulties and how to remove those causes, resolve the difficulties that would result in the difficulties we experienced. And so after his enlightenment, he had experienced these things, the extremes of the life of luxury of a prince and the life of an ascetic, and he realized that it was a middle path, a balance that was necessary to be able to see and experience a calmness, a settling in our lives, that a middle path to avoid extremes was something that we should appreciate or begin to cultivate in our lives. The Four Noble Truths, of course, is the central cornerstone of Buddhism. That we experience difficulties, dukkha, the first of the Four Noble Truths, that we experience dukkha as a human being, that the cause of those difficulties are our inability to see things clearly as they are, simply as they are. We have a tendency to introduce our own expectations on the world around us, what we like and what we don't like. And we see the world and we respond and engage ourselves with the world around us through that lens. And it's because we don't see things clearly that we experience difficulties and cause difficulties for others. But the third of the Four Noble Truths said that we can resolve. There is a resolution to these difficulties, and that's enlightenment. And that the means to attain enlightenment is the Eightfold Path, or the fourth of the Four Noble Truths. So this initial kind of basic cornerstone that Shakyamuni Buddha talked about immediately after his enlightenment is what Buddhism is about. And these are the things that Buddhism are about, the resolution of our difficulties as human beings and the means to which we can experience that state. And everything around Buddhism has to do with this central idea. And it's often what we experience as human beings that brings us here to the temple. How do we resolve these difficulties? How can I understand what is the meaning, what is the cause, what is the importance of what I experience as a human being? And what Shakyamuni Buddha was describing and sharing his insight was that it's because we don't see things clearly that we experience or cause difficulties for ourselves and for others. And it's really very simple. It's really very simple. It's about that experience of enlightenment, that central, core experience of enlightenment that Buddhism talks about, that Buddhism describes, a means through which we can all become Buddha